And I'm not accepting the struggles where my marriage is concerned. I refuse to have a broken home. I refuse to go through divorce. I refuse to have, all them kids not knowing who the father is. I refuse to going from job to job, not being able to make ends meet. I'm rejecting. I'm rejecting. I'm disconnecting. I'm dislodging myself from this bloodline curse and this bloodline tie that has affected my family for so long. I don't want to be a part of it. And sometimes just by making that simple decision, you're hated for that. You're seen as, why do you think you're better than I am? Why do you think you're all that? We grew up like this. Why would you want to go do all of that? Ain't nobody has ever done that before. Sometimes that's all you're hated for. Hey everybody, welcome to our Thursday podcast. On Thursdays, I'm going to be uploading podcast recordings. We're going to be talking about topics such as family trauma, childhood trauma, forgiveness, wealth, health, success and empowerment. We're going to be talking about sex, marriage, being single, making the coins, becoming millionaires. There's so many things that we have to talk about, and that's exactly what we're going to be doing on Thursdays. So if there's any tough topic, any difficult topic that's not usually discussed in the church, in your family, in your circles, you can feel free to go ahead and leave it in the comment section, and I will come here and I will sit and talk with you guys on those topics on Thursdays. Today, actually, I want to talk to you guys about forgiveness and family trauma. This is a very heavy topic. There's a lot that goes on behind the walls where family is concerned. Now, when it comes to the topic of families, it's a difficult thing because family is something you can't get rid of. They're people you can't get rid of. They're people you don't get to choose. So when you can actually choose your friends, you don't get a chance to choose your family, and it's kind of like you're stuck with what you have or who you have, and then you have to learn how to cope and how to navigate your family, your relationships, and that's where the trauma comes in. That's where the difficulty comes in for many persons. But when we talk about forgiveness, where family trauma is concerned, I think today my main center topic is really forgiving family. When we talk about forgiveness, scripturally, it is very important that we learn to forgive. Forgiveness is something that is very important, and everyone deserves to be forgiven. And I know you guys are saying, I don't want this to be, something that's just all scriptural, because I know what the Bible says about forgiveness, but that doesn't make it any easier. I know what the scripture says: forgive so you can be forgiven. Everybody deserves to be forgiven. I know what the scripture says, but that does not make it any easier to deal with, any easier for us to be healed, any easier for us to let it go. And so what we're going to do is just take the time to break down certain things. That means in order for you to forgive, there are certain things that will need to be done, such as confronting whomever it is, confronting your family, confronting your emotions, accepting certain things that just can't be changed. And so we're going to talk more about it, but I do feel as though everyone deserves forgiveness. Like, no one is perfect. First of all, if you need to forgive someone, you need to try to put yourself in their shoes. Not saying that you're not hurt, but put yourself in the place of you need someone to forgive you, and you have changed, or even if you have not changed, forgiveness is something that it's very important. The thing about forgiveness is you're not necessarily forgiving people because they have changed. You're not forgiving them for them, but you're actually forgiving them for you. When you forgive someone, the truth is it makes you feel so much lighter. Forgiveness is literally taking off loads off your shoulder and just tossing it to the curb. I don't need to walk around with that baggage. I don't need to walk around with that pain anymore. And so forgiveness is more for you and not necessarily for them. When you forgive someone, it's not for them. Why? Because when you forgive someone, it doesn't change the fact that they're not who they are anymore. It doesn't change the fact that they're actually going to change. And so when you forgive someone, you're actually literally doing it for you. Now, before you can actually forgive someone, for many persons, it's literally a struggle. And if you can comment in the comment section, sometimes forgiving family is literally a struggle, because why would someone that you're related to by blood do the things they do, say the things they do? Like, we're blood, we're biological, we're connected by biology, so how would you do the things that you do and say the things that you say? We grew up together, we shared food together, we shared clothes together. Like, on some levels, some of us as family, we literally passed clothes and shoes down to each other. I grew up in a family where I was so close to one of my cousins in particular, and I was from the country and she was from the city, and she would pass clothes down to me if there was anything that she did not like, or she wore once and it just wasn't her style per se, or if I saw anything that I loved, of course it would pass down to me. So we grew up in that kind of family, and some of you guys probably grew up in that kind of setting as well, where you shared certain things to the point where you never expected that someone would actually turn around and betray you or deceive you, and that's kind of what makes it hurt the most. You were not expecting it. Oftentimes you'd want to think that it would be more of a stranger that would do you certain types of harm or hurt. You would expect it from someone that is a stranger, someone that you don't know so well. But to expect these things from family members, it's unexpected, and that's why it hurts so much. But I think in today's society, most persons, or a lot more people, are actually accepting the fact that there's a possibility that your own family is more likely to reject you, to hurt you, to fight against you even more, especially in the sector where persons are being called into the prophetic, or being called into being a prophet. You'd understand that scripturally it is something that tends to be a cycle, a recurring theme, where people are rejected and fought against by their family simply because they do not understand your call, simply because you choose not to follow the path that your mom went down, that your father went down, that whomever it is that grew you went down. You want something better, you want something that's so much more for yourself, and sometimes you can just be hated and fought against just for wanting better for yourself. Like, you don't even have to do anything wrong, you don't even have to do anything bad, you don't even have to mess around or whatever it is, go against anyone for them to actually dislike you or fight against you. Sometimes it's simply because you have identified a bloodline curse, you have identified that there is an issue that has been affecting the family, the bloodline, for generations, for decades, and you decide, listen, I'm not accepting the struggles where my marriage is concerned. I refuse to have a broken home. I refuse to go through divorce. I refuse to have, all them kids not knowing who the father is. I refuse to going from job to job, not being able to make ends meet. I'm rejecting. I'm rejecting. I'm disconnecting. I'm dislodging myself from this bloodline curse and this bloodline tie that has affected my family for so long. I don't want to be a part of it. And sometimes just by making that simple decision, you're hated for that. You're seen as, why do you think you're better than I am? Why do you think you're all that? We grew up like this. Why would you want to go do all of that? Ain't nobody has ever done that before. Sometimes that's all you're hated for, and that's the truth. So sometimes in order for us to come into the place of forgiveness, we have to start with acceptance. Acceptance is something that is difficult. Sometimes you have to come to a place where you gradually learn to accept things that you can't change. Something that can cause us to become so much more hurt and broken is the expectation. You have moms, you have dads, you have family members, and you expect so much of them, and that's why it hurts, because you are expecting them to love you a certain way, treat you a certain way, support you a certain way, and when you do not get that, that's what causes it to hurt the way that it does. And so in order for you to come to a place of complete, utter forgiveness, sometimes you have to learn to accept who they are, accept the fact that they will never be able to give you what you're expecting of them. Sometimes you have to accept the fact that they won't be able to give you what you are expecting. They won't be the parents that you are expecting them to be, and sometimes this is simply because they don't know how to do it. The truth is, many of us have moms and they don't know how to love us the way that we would actually want them to love us. And my mom, for example, my mom always told me that she loved me, and if I may be honest, I think it's actually since I'm literally like a grown a grown woman, that she started to say, I love you. Just being a child, just being a teenager, a young adult in my early, late teenage years, early 20s, I never heard that as much. And my mom was just never that kind of mom. I grew up in a family where my cousins, for example, whenever I go to their houses, my aunt, like she would just change in front of you, and she would just talk, and she was just straightforward. And if I saw her pulling her top off, her bra off in front of me, that was completely weird for me, because my mom, I don't think she has ever changed a pants, a shirt in front of me. Like literally never seen that any at all. So that was something that was so weird, that was strange for me. I think sometimes our parents are not able to give a certain types of affection and love because it's not something they grew up seeing. If they were not treated in that particular way, they did not grow up that way, they did not receive a certain type of affection, or to show a certain type of support or love, I think it's kind of hard for them to give something that they never actually had. And in this day and age, you're watching movies, you're watching films, you're listening to podcasts, you're more exposed to so many different things, and now you know what it is actually like to be loved, to be supported, to be embraced, just to have your mom hug you, embrace you, and say I love you. And truly, embrace is not something that you do at a certain age. I think embrace, affection, and support does not stop when you move out of their home. I think, and this is why I believe that we're called to break bloodline curses, generational curses, is to set new trends, new patterns, new cycles in our family. For me, I have 2 boys, and I absolutely want more kids. And my son, I kiss that boy 1,000 times per day. My 4-year-old, I kiss on him throughout the entire day. Like, I don't care whether he wants it or not. I'm that kind of mom where I'm kissing you constantly, and I'm letting him know at 4 years old that when you go to high school, I'm gonna be kissing you. When you go to college, I'm gonna be hugging you, and I'm going to be kissing you. Dang, when you get married, I'm going to be hugging you and kissing you. I'm going to be supporting you. When you're 20 something, 30 something, if you need a bill to be paid, you need help, I'm going to pay your bill. If you need support with starting your business, I'm going to be there. If you're launching a business, you don't have as much as you thought you had, or something happened, you need a couple millions to invest, I'm gonna be there, and I'm gonna give it to you, considering that you're going to be successful, you're gonna give it back to me. I'm that kind of mom. And so these are the type of things that we need to break, and we need to entertain, or just nurture more where families are concerned. Our moms, our fathers, our parents were never able, our guardians were never able to, some of us actually were never able to give that kind of a support. And so it's not just about hugging and kissing, it's just about being present, being there, being aware of what is happening, supporting what's happening, just standing by your children. I'm a firm believer that being a mom or a father does not end when your child gets to 18. You're supposed to be there till the very day that they pass on from this earth. And that's something that many of us did not get growing up. And so as a result, many of us suffered in the dark. We suffered in silence, not getting the love, not getting the support, not getting the assistance that we wanted. Many of us have gone through, different traumatic experiences, being exploited, having to take care of your own siblings, and, they're your siblings, not your kids. I don't know if that hits home for anyone. You can leave it in the comment section. I was an only child, so I kind of grew up, a bit spoiled. But there are many things that I lacked, that just was not there. And now that I have experienced these things, I've just learned to accept it, because I can't do anything to change it. Acceptance is tied into forgiveness. Sometimes you have to accept something because you can't change people. People change when they want to, and people change because they want to. You can't force your parents to change, especially when they grew up in a particular way. That's just who they are. You can't force people to change. And so that's something we have to learn to accept. And then we can, be able to move forward into the place of forgiveness. So I believe that, as I mentioned before, that forgiveness is more for you and not just for them. You have to get to a place where you decide, I'm not fighting with you anymore. I'm not, cussing with you anymore. I'm not going to be going back and forth with you in, a tug of war anymore. I'm just at a place where I want to turn a new slate. I want to start on a clean slate. I'm starting over. That means if you want to be a part of my life or not, I'm starting over. If you understand why I'm doing this or not, I'm starting over. Sometimes this literally means moving across the state, moving across the country, just being completely alone, whether they understand or not, whether you are mocked, jeered, cussed out for it or not. Sometimes you have to start a new slate, and starting a new slate for many can mean different things. For some people, starting a clean slate is moving across the state, moving far where no one has contact with you, no one has connection with you. Why? Because turning a new page for some people is finding peace and just letting go of the trauma and just letting go of everything. I forgive you, but in order for me to start on a new page, to start a new chapter of my life, to find peace, I gotta kill all communications with you. There can be no form of communication, no connections between you and I if we're gonna make this work. And that's the truth. I do believe in forgiveness, but forgiveness sometimes does not necessarily mean reconciliation. There's some people that will never change. Forgiveness does not mean that someone is going to change. Forgiveness does not mean they're going to change their ways, their behaviors, their attitudes, their morals. Sometimes forgiveness is forgiving someone, moving across the country, having no form of communication, except if something goes completely wrong, it's life or death, there's someone's health that's on the line or something of that sort. Sometimes you have to forgive and just move out of town, move out of state, just to protect your peace of mind. Nothing is more important than your peace of mind. And there are people that will say, but they're your family members, you have to love them, keep talking to them. My question is, because you're my mom, because you're my dad, because we're family, does that mean that I allow you to hurt me over and over? Does that mean I allow you to mess with my mental space over and over? Does that mean I allow you to break my focus? I can't focus on my kids, my marriage, my work, because it's a constant uphill battle, a constant fight where you and I are concerned. So I respect you as my mom, I love you as my mom, and I absolutely forgive you, but I'm just not giving you the space or the time to affect or to hurt me the way that you have. There's some moms, there's some fathers, there's family members that they hurt you and it's like nothing to them. Like especially your parents, sometimes they expect you to take whatever they serve, whatever I dish out, I expect you to take it because I gave birth to you, I'm your mom, I got you here, I pushed you out, you're here now, so whatever I say goes, whatever I expect, or whatever I put out there is what I expect you to accept. Like, nah, it doesn't actually work that way. My mental peace is very important, especially when you have to focus on work, you have to focus on your kids, you have to focus on your own family. You don't want to constantly be broken, be dragged into a place of pain and hurt and repeating trauma happening over and over. So sometimes you have to just skid that load of town and just not have any contact with anyone, because you know what's going to happen. Do not allow anyone to force you to believe you have to stay in traumatic families, traumatic experiences where people have the opportunity to hurt you over and over. You do not need to do that. Sometimes, hell, if you need to protect your salvation, you need to cut all connections. And so I have had to learn the art of block and delete for, not just family, but friends. I've had to learn the art. I call it an art and the principle of the whole block and delete thing, where, just I'm cutting it off, I'm cutting them off because my mental peace matters more. So sometimes starting a new page, starting a new clean slate, it means just completely moving away where people do not have any contact with you. For some of you, starting a new slate literally means confronting. That's not an easy one. Like, I hope you guys are commenting in the comment section. Starting a new page, a clean slate by confrontation is not easy. You have to think about sitting down, confronting your parents, your family members, where you have to let them know, listen, this is how I feel. for most persons, especially that grew up in the Caribbean, I don't know about the States or Canada or wherever you guys are from, but for Caribbean parents, it's kind of like your emotions does not matter. Especially as a child, a teenager, a young adult coming up, you go to tell your mom or your father or your grandmother that I'm not happy, I think I'm going through depression, I'm not content, I'm feeling some kind of way with what's going on. They'll say to you, what do you have to be sad about? What do you have to be depressed about? You ain't paying no bills. I'm putting food on the table. I'm paying your bills. I'm doing your laundry. You have a house where you're not paying rent or lease or anything. What do you have to be worried about? Like, I don't pay bills, but I have feelings. I don't have to do my own laundry. I'm not doing this. I'm not doing that. But that doesn't take away from the fact that, I'm obligated to my feelings. I'm obligated to feel what I feel, to go through what I'm going through. Just because I'm a teenager and I ain't got no bills does not mean that, I can't feel depressed. I can't go through, my type of, pressure or struggle with school, with my exams, with y'all. Because sometimes parents drive you up the wall and you go through the just a whole tornado of emotions all at once, and it's kind of like you're not permitted to talk about what you feel because they shut you down immediately. And so sometimes in order for you to turn a clean slate and to start over, you have to confront them and you have to let them know, listen, I love you as a parent, I love you as a family member, but this is what you have been doing and this is how it has been affecting me. This is not a blame game. I'm not trying to blame you. I'm not trying to point fingers. I'm not trying to make you out to be the bad guy, but I just want to let you know how this affects me. If we can deal with this, if we can confront and deal with the elephant in the room, deal with the issue that we're facing, then we can come to a resolve and we can move forward. So confrontation is not a blame game. It's not a pointing of fingers. It's not trying to make someone look bad or to put someone down. It's really confronting your emotions, learning how to explain exactly how you feel. Sometimes they're family members that will judge you because you're smiling, you're helping them with the bills, you're helping them with the kids back home, you're sending groceries, you're paying bills, and you just have a smile. If you're anything like me, I think it's kind of just recently I started to express my emotions. I'm one that will just go through the most and just not talk about it. I'm one that will feel some kind of way and I'll smile, not fake. I'm not faking, I'm not pretending as though I like you or anything, but I'm one that will just just push things to the side, forget about it, it's okay, we'll just move forward, that's fine, whatever, I'm not even going to think about it. I'm that kind of person. But what I've found is that these things are things that when you do not acknowledge the issues that you're facing, the emotions that you're facing, they tend to kind of build up over time, and like you don't know when it's actually just going to burst out into something huge. And so I find that counseling, that therapy, whatever it is very important. And listen, I'm not over spiritualizing my Thursday sessions. I'm talking to you like real deal talking to you. I find that acknowledging and confronting your emotions is very important. It's good that you can pray in the Holy Ghost. It's good that you can speak in tongues. It's good that you know how to worship. You know how to read the Word of God. But hear me, when I tell you that it is very good and very important that you acknowledge your emotions, acknowledge what you're dealing with, and confront not only your emotions, but confront and speak with your family, not through blaming, not through pointing fingers, but trying to confront the situation so you can come to a resolve and you can come to a place of forgiveness. That's a start where forgiveness and overcoming family trauma is actually concerned. So sometimes you have to confront the issue. Do not turn a blind eye. Do not try to tell yourself, oh, I'm soft, I'm quiet, I don't like confrontation, I don't like to be the one to bring up stuff, I don't want to bring up the past, I don't want to bring up what you did or what you said, so just let it go. If you're suffering, you're hurting deep down, it is affecting you, you're dreaming about it, it's affecting your mental space, your self-conscious, your consciousness, then you literally need to talk about it. So whatever you have to do to turn a new slate, then that's exactly what you have to do. So as I mentioned, there are some parents when you sit to speak with your parents, sometimes as you begin to acknowledge and confront the issue that you're having, there are some parents, especially from the Caribbean, they will not necessarily admit what they have done. There are some parents, they will never admit what they have done. They will never see themselves, doing something wrong. Like, I'm the parent, you're the child. How dare you tell me I'm wrong? I gave birth to you. So there's some parents, there's some family members that will not accept the fact that they are wrong or admit that they are wrong. And it is at this point where you need to learn to just accept it. It is what it is. They will never accept what they did. They will never say sorry for what they did. Like, hell, if you find some parents literally sitting their child down, whatever age, a child, a teenager, young adults in your 30s, 40s, whatever it is, you may never find some parents sitting down and admitting the fact that they are wrong, even more to say, I'm sorry for what I did. I'm willing to apologize to my 4-year-old if he thinks I hurt his feeling because, I was too loud, or why are you so serious, or I don't like that your tone of voice, you said, go take up your toys, whatever it is. I'm gonna say, listen, baby, I'm sorry. I just want you to get the toys together. This is what you have to do. You have to learn to put this in place, get your stuff organized. If my son is 16, 17, 18, 34, 50 years old, if I did something that is wrong, I must learn how to say I'm sorry for, saying what I said, or, doing what I did. I'm sorry. There's nothing wrong with saying you're sorry. It does not make you any less of a human for you to apologize as a parent. It doesn't make you, any inferior for you to say you're sorry to a child or admitting that you're wrong. Some parents can never admit they're wrong, can never say I'm sorry. They think that they can do no wrong, but bro, you're so wrong. You are wrong for thinking that you are not wrong. So, and that's just on so many different levels. So sometimes you have to accept that they will never accept the truth. You have to accept it. You have to move on. You have to forgive and you have to move on. As I said before, forgiveness does not mean reconciliation. You forgive people. It doesn't mean that you have to have that tight bond, relationship as you move forward. But if there is, something that they can call you on, then that's fine. If you can't communicate any at all, do not feel guilty for that. We need to break this whole notion of when you forgive your family but you're no longer in dialogue or communication with them, that you should feel guilty. Sometimes do not feel guilty for not having communication with persons that you have actually forgiven, because even though you have forgiven them, it doesn't mean that they won't actually do it again. They may do the same thing. So forgiveness doesn't mean that they have changed, that they will not do it again. So you forgive not to reconcile, because you want to protect yourself, protect your peace, your mind, your sanity, your emotions. So that's something that's very important for us to do. So forgiveness does not mean reconciliation. Forgiveness means you forgive, but then you have to learn to set healthy boundaries. As you forgive your parents, you have to just come to a place where you say, I forgive you, mom, I forgive you, dad. Let's talk about it. But at the same time, let's learn to set boundaries. There are certain things that they may do that may trigger certain experiences that you have had, that may trigger certain types of emotions that you need to protect. You need to protect your heart. You need to protect your space by all means. And that means just setting boundaries that need to be set. Do not allow them to cross those boundaries. If it means you can't go to a family reunion this year, you can't go to family reunion. If it means you can't allow them to come over because you just had a newborn baby, I'll send you guys photos, but I don't think you can come over. If you can't allow them to come to your wedding because they're gonna act up, and these guys gonna cause a whole scene. I don't want to be sad on my perfect day, my wedding day. I'll send you guys pictures, but you can't come. Whatever it is, you have to set bold boundaries that will protect you by all means. I don't know what you guys are dealing with where family is concerned, where forgiveness is concerned, but I believe that everyone deserves to be forgiven. And even if you think they don't deserve to be forgiven, I want you to remember that the Bible does say, forgive so you can be forgiven. If you can't forgive your parents, your loved ones, your friends, then how do you really expect God is going to forgive you? So we have to learn to forgive by whatever means necessary. Forgiveness is not for them, it's for for you so you can be forgiven. Hell, if I sin, if I mess up, I want God to forgive me. So that's why we need to learn to forgive. So, you can be in peace. You can be as light as a feather. You don't have to walk around with the baggage, the weight, the struggle, all of that. No, sir. No, child. I want to be free. So, yeah, I just wanted to share that with you. This is just my introduction podcast. If you guys are, interested in more chit chats like this, please go ahead and leave it in the comment section. I want to know what it is that you guys are dealing with where family is concerned. Are your family the kind of people that when you sit to confront and deal with them, they try to turn it around on you? So you're trying to confront and deal with an issue and they literally just flipped it all the way around, a whole 360 back to you. And instead of accepting what it is, they start blaming you. What is your family like? What is it that you have been dealing with? How have you dealt with forgiveness and, family trauma? Did you have to move? Did you have to change your numbers? What was it like for you? I want you to go ahead and leave it in the comment section. I want to respond. Leave your topics that you want me to talk about: marriage, divorce, getting married after kids, whatever it is that you're dealing with. Put it in the comment section. I'll go through them. I'll choose a topic. I'll talk about it as I'm led to do. Thank you guys so much for watching. Please make sure you go ahead and visit my website at shanikbeckfordministries.org. If you need counseling, I'm offering family counseling, premarital and postmarital counseling. We have life coaching sessions, prophetic consultation. So if you need to talk to someone, visit my website today, book yourself a session. We'll sit, we'll talk, so you can be healed, you can be whole, and you can be your best delivered, healed, and successful self that you can possibly be, and that God also wants you to be. So thanks for watching and have a wonderful rest of the day. Bye.